Hey y'all, it's Dalanie.
And it's Katie. This is Classically Black Podcast,
where we talk all things classical music and being black in the profession.
with Beyoncé playing in the background.
Period.
What you do? Yeah. Hello, girls.
Well, so sorry to everyone who... No, I'm just kidding. There's a mini sales. If you haven't gotten your
That's
tickets,
crazy.
because a lot of people was broken up and they was like, y'all celebrating or whatever. I'm like, girl,
why wouldn't we
I got
celebrating?
my ticket, so
Why wouldn't we be celebrating?
You would be celebrating too if you had a ticket. Genuinely hope you get one at the other sales. And honestly, it might not even be that bad because it's not like all the tickets went on sale.
That's the thing.
Like the Beehive pre-sale is one that sold out, but there's still more tickets, great seats that's going to be available in subsequent sales. So you might get a better ticket than me. I might get another ticket because my sister reminded me she didn't announce the Vegas dates, and everybody thinks she's doing a residency in Vegas because Vegas is on the poster, but she didn't announce the dates.
Oh, so you went to Vegas? I'm only going once. I love Beyonce though, but I said in budget, so I'm happy about that. The only thing that will make me see it again would be if my life has changed and I want to see her front on, since we're gonna be on the side. I saw a lot of from the side. It's fine to see somebody from the side, especially like I know Beyonce gonna like make sure everybody gets to see her, so we don't gotta worry about like Lotto really just perform to the front. But I know Beyonce not gonna do that. But if my life has changed, I will consider another one. But yeah, I'm gonna see Beyonce one time.
Yeah, we'll see when it comes out. I will probably. I'm entertaining the idea of going a second time. Seeing what she does in Vegas. I think that's probably the only city I will go to second time, unless I would get another ticket in LA. Then I might go again in LA, but we'll see. But yeah. Anyway, the episode, getting into the news this week. First part of the news is something that I forgot to talk about last week. So my bad, y'all. The Grammys happened. And we did not talk about the Grammys at all. There's only just a few things that I wanted to talk about from the classical section, of course, of the Grammys. I'm not going to go through all of the winners, but like, just like, we could congratulate everybody that won. And also just talk about a few like standouts. One on the whole page where they list everybody, all the winners and nominees for the night. I was like, dang, they really don't give a about classical because when it's dead last after packaging.
After packaging
is insane.
I'm
like, dang. But yeah, one thing that surprised me, I guess, was the best compilation soundtrack for visual media, which went to Maestro, over The Color Purple, which I didn't see The Color Purple, but I just thought I
just know what I know about The Color Purple.
Yeah, and the cast and everything like that, and I was really surprised. Like, I was just surprised to see classical music win in that, because usually like classical music in its own category is one thing, but in categories against other stuff, it's kind of like, oh, y'all really
okay. Y'all was mixing in whatever y'all do.
Yeah, I was like, okay, period. And the soundtrack too, like not the score, soundtrack.
Oh, the sound. Whoa,
yeah. Best compilation soundtrack
of A Color Purple.
Yeah.
Wait. Also, I'm confused. Didn't that come out in 2024? Christmas 2024? Oh no.
Was it 2023?
Christmas 2023.
Yeah, probably. So it was after the submission deadline for 2024.
So that's why they got it in 2025.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, that was something. Also, of course, want to congratulate anyone who was Black and won in the categories, which would be Best Classical Solo Vocal Album, which went to Karen Slack and Michelle Can, for the album Beyond the Years, Unpublished Songs of Florence Price. So yeah, shout out to them for winning a Grammy. And then also Gustavo Dudamel, the LA Phil, and Gabriela Ortiz swept a few categories in both composition and performance, with Ortiz's composition Revolucion Diamantina. I hope I'm saying that right. They won for Best Contemporary Classical Composition, Best Classical Compendium, and Best Orchestral Performance. So
Gustavo said, I'm leaving here with something.
Like, So period.
He's still going through with that? What's the year? Is it next year or the year after?
I think it's. Ooh, it might be starting. Is this? No way. I would have heard if this was his last season. I feel like it would have
been a huge deal.
So I think next season is his last season. Yeah, because it will be 2025-26. Yeah, 2025-26, I believe, is his last season.
Okay.
So yeah, upcoming season.
It would have been a huge deal.
Yeah. I knew it was something with 2025, but then I was like, what month is it? But yeah, new season. I think this is gonna be his last. Because I think he's going there 2026. All right. We are gonna sandwich the news this week. There was a development on this like literally a couple hours ago, but I originally planned to talk about how Donald Trump has planned to dismiss the board and install himself as the chair of the Kennedy Center. He announced like last week that he plans to dramatically reshape the governance of the Kennedy Center by removing several of its board members, including its board chair, and installing himself as board chair. He posted on his social media platform, Truth Social, criticizing the Kennedy Center's programming, and also that they had performances that showcase drag culture. He said, quote, "At my direction, we are going to make the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. great again. I have decided to immediately terminate multiple individuals from the board of trustees, including the chairman, who do not share our vision for a golden age in arts and culture. We will soon announce a new board with an amazing chairman, Donald J. Trump." The current board chair, David Rubenstein, current at the time that this was written, which was a couple hours ago. So that's how fast news moves around here. He had initially planned to retire in 2025, but after Trump's election, the center was unable to find someone to replace him. So he decided that he was going to stay on until the fall of 2026. And yeah, I think a little bit of background on Donald Trump's history with the Kennedy Center. During his first term, he did not attend any of the Kennedy Center honors ceremonies, which made him the first president to skip all 4 years of that ceremony, because a few honorees declined his invitation for a reception at the White House, which really just shows like how vindictive, like they did that 8 years ago. Yeah. And you like, yeah, so circling back to the Kennedy Center, like, yeah. The Kennedy Center responded in a statement saying that, specifically about their funding, saying that they are a unique public-private partnership. The federal government only contributes finances relating to the upkeep and the maintenance of the building in which the center is housed, but contribution, which equals to a contribution of just 16% of their total operating budget. All of their artistic programming is funded by ticket sales, donations, rental income, and other revenue sources. They, at the time, I'll say last week, at the time that he announced this, they had received no official communications from the White House. But they did, some of the members on the board received termination notices from the Trump administration. They also said that, throughout our history, the Kennedy Center has enjoyed strong support from members of Congress and their staffs, Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Since our doors opened in 1971, we have had a collaborative relationship with every presidential administration. Since that time, you see who the problem is? So they ain't never had no problem in 50-something years. So since that time, the Kennedy Center has had a bipartisan board of trustees that has supported the arts in a nonpartisan fashion, per the center's governance established by Congress in 1958. The chair of the board of trustees is appointed by the center's board members. There's nothing in the center's statute that would prevent a new administration from replacing board members. However, this would be the first time such an action has been taken with the Kennedy Center's board. So as of a couple hours ago, this action has been taken. It is official.
What?
Yeah. So that's why I did all of this. And then literally like an hour and a half ago, or an hour and a half before we started our meeting, I was on Instagram and I saw on somebody's story that he was recently or today voted as chairman of the board of trustees. And also the president, Deborah Rutter, announced her resignation shortly after that vote happened. She was already going to resign at the end of this year, I believe, but after he was voted chairman, which also I was like, that don't sound like a bipartisan board if y'all voted him.
Yeah.
But I think that he appointed certain people to the board. So it's like now everybody who's on the board is his people, and he's going to like... Yeah, and so, I mean, I don't need to tell y'all, it's very worrisome, and there's a very extensive history of dictators doing things like this in the arts. So now having control over one of the biggest, like, you know, cultural institutions in America and dictating so closely, like, how or what they're allowed to represent as, like, American art is, you know, slippery slope. So because now anything that's anti-American, you know, people are afraid of government funding and, you know, losing government funding, getting it in the first place, that sort of thing. So anything to say?
No.
No. Yeah.
You're like, what are we supposed to do? Like, we just... Okay.
We are all dogs in God's hot car. So like, it's what it's giving.
Like, what are we supposed to... Okay.
Like, and now we got approved songs and unapproved songs. We've approved podcasts, unapproved podcasts. Download our episodes while you can.
I'm about to say, enjoy the show while you...
Because it's definitely on the unapproved list.
We know, period.
The title alone. But the listening to it might get us in jail. So, all right. Well, that's that. And then our last piece of news this week comes from, thank God, another country. The Orchestre de la Suisse Romande, I'm sure that's not how you say that, is offering a virtual reality mobile app called Virtual Hall to offer an immersive experience at the heart of a symphony orchestra. So it's the first app of its kind. It contains recordings of the orchestra made from the viewpoints of 6 different 360-degree cameras that allows viewers to simulate what it might be like to sit in an orchestra in different, you know, parts of the orchestra. It also includes studio quality audio recordings to transmit the live sound of the orchestra. The app is developed by a company called Cybele Arts, which specializes in technology for the arts. So their aim is to open up classical music to new audiences through the use of digital devices, as well as offer a fresh perspective on the art form to existing audiences. So I thought that was cool. Doing good?
Sorry, I'm having a hard time. Like, what's the point of this all? What's the point of all of this?
Not everything. Well, I mean, the point is for them is to enjoy it because they're not in America.
Oh, I mean, like, life under this administration.
Oh yeah, but I just meant like they chilling.
I'm sure. What they at? Italy?
I think maybe France.
Oh,
but yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Eating bread and snails and not worrying about nothing. That's nice. I used to not worry about nothing.
Yeah.
I miss those times. It wasn't that long ago, actually. Like January 19th.
Well, I do want a VR headset. I'll probably get one while I still can. While I still have an address for them to send it to.
You probably can send it to the camp. Oh, you need money. You don't have any money.
No money. Probably no internet access. Probably no address. Probably just open field.
You already know my phone. I don't gotta worry about the camps. I just hope they can't kill me in a humane way. They're not gonna send me to the camps. If they follow what they did before, I'm not going in there. I'm gonna get there and they going.
Okay, Katie. I would do this. I think it would be. I know that the reason why they're not doing this, but it would also be cool if the audio like simulated what it was like to sit in different parts of the orchestra.
A particular space. Yeah.
I know, and then, like, I know why they wouldn't do that, because it's like it's gonna be studio quality and similar to what they would do, like if they were recording an album or something like that. But that would be cool.
I mean, I would be curious to see how it looks, but I'm not like it would. Yeah, because I already just know, but it's cool for other people.
Yeah. Well, it's the news.
Okay, so I was on TikTok, as one does. I didn't realize.
Thanks to your buddy.
You said what?
Right. Thanks to your buddy, according to them. That freaking message was so ridiculous.
But also, I kind of want them to ban it, just because because I was thinking about it, like, because I remember that day when I thought all was hope was lost, and I was so bored. I went on Red Note, and I went on Instagram. I was like, I guess I'll read a book. Like, I didn't know. And then after like all like the hype wore off, like my app is back, you realize that like the only reason we have TikTok is because he's active. Like, the Supreme Court made a decision, and he's actively choosing not to enforce it. That is insane. So it doesn't hit the same anymore. I'm still on there too much. I didn't realize how much I was on there until someone saw my analytics, and I was like, oh. But it's part of my routine. Get up in the morning, scroll. Before I go to bed, scroll. Out of the shower, I scroll. In between tasks, I scroll. It just adds up. I didn't know how much it added up to. But anyway, I was on TikTok, and this girl reminded me of I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, the Vagrancy Act of 1866. Do you remember learning about that in what used to be U.S. history? Formerly known as U.S. because ain't no way they learn about that now. The U.S. history probably goes something like this. The British came over, and they had Thanksgiving with the Native Americans, and they kindly asked them to leave and go west. And then Trump got elected. Mm-hmm. What do you need a whole year of U.S. history for? That's it. Oh, and Hamilton, but only white cast.
Right. No
rapping. Happened in the middle. Anyway, that act made it illegal to be homeless and not working, basically. I'll read the actual thing. So, but it's passed by the General Assembly on January 15th, 1866, forced into employment for a term of up to 3 months any person who appeared to be unemployed or homeless, so-called vagrants. And because there used to be a time where, like, black women were forced to work. So I wanted to know, how are you practicing rest? Because since rest is an act of resistance, how are you practicing rest? And if you don't practice rest, how do you hope to practice rest? Dalanie, what?
No, you just reminded me of somebody right now.
Okay, because it is a little anti-me, this whole thing. It's a little, but like, I haven't been on my Zoom. I've been distracted, so I need to get back on my Zoom. But yeah.
And that just reminded me, I don't forget if they passed it or not, but they're trying to pass, I think they're trying to, in Fremont, trying to pass a law to make it illegal to help homeless people. So that's great. I was like, so they having an evil off. Like,
they just doing stuff.
Like, just
Fremont
to aid and abet a homeless person.
Fremont,
California.
Oh, here.
Yeah, but Fremont is like Bay Area. Yeah. That's what they call it, aiding and abetting.
Aiding and abetting
a homeless person in being homeless. First of all, y'all are aiding and abetting by making it too damn expensive to live nowhere.
Like,
so slap those cuffs on yourself. Like, what? How am I practicing rest? I was practicing rest yesterday. I've been practicing, I can't say that.
Good, thank God.
No, it's not, has nothing to do with you.
No, I knew it didn't.
Oh. I just meant, like, I'm practicing rest from my job, but it's not rest, because the reason why I'm not being able to do my job is because I'm doing my situation. So when I say my job, I don't mean my job. I just mean something that I call my job.
It's like the fact that I wonder if anyone would even understand what you mean by that. But the fact that you cannot elaborate, just in case someone hears it.
But yeah, so when I say I can't do my job, I've been doing my job, like, but I can't do my job because of my situation. But so I can't even call it rest because I've been working so much, you know.
At your job,
I've been working so much at my situation, and that's why I haven't been doing my job. But yesterday, I think I did have some time, but I was like, I'm tired. I'm trying to be on my phone list. I scrolled a lot more yesterday than I have. I think I've been on it overall less. But then I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to go in between because it's like, on one hand, it's like, keep your foot on the gas and do all this. And I'm trying to work harder and just up, you know, the amount that I'm working every day. But at the same time, it's like, it's okay to have a rest day, this, that. So, I don't know. I've been good about being consistent in other things. So, I kind of let myself. I was on my phone. And what was happening yesterday? Was something happening yesterday while I was on my phone? Oh. The tickets.
Oh.
That was it. That threw my whole day off. So, thanks, Beyoncé.
Somebody swept up on my story. It was like, oh my God, that was a bloodbath. I'm like, girl, I was stressed and I didn't even do nothing. It was you and Shane that was doing it. We got it in the end.
Yeah. That threw my whole day off because I was at noon. That's in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And so after that, I'm definitely not doing nothing before this. And then, but I did have to do stuff after. Yeah. So I did work, but later on after that day, when all the dust settled, whatever, I was just farting around, basically.
Yeah, what did I do yesterday? Oh, I was dying. When I get my hands on Eve, shake her like that. Or really Adam, actually, because why are we blaming women? But this year has been weird for me because January really threw me off with the whole fire stuff. Like, I'm not trying to be dramatic. Like, I know, like, thank God we weren't affected by the fires, but it was too much going on. And so I haven't been really practicing rest because I haven't posted on my channel in a month, and I have videos to post. I just haven't done it. So I didn't do that. But I have been writing. I need to post on my TikTok. So, but I practice rest by, like, I've been hanging out more. I think that's the way I've been practicing rest. Like, I made new friends, and Dalanie and I have Valentine's Day tomorrow at the time we're filming this. Depending on how this episode unfolds, I'll let you know if we actually end up doing that.
Oh, she's looking for an out. That's why.
You were giving me an out.
I'm not giving you nothing.
See,
I can't say that. I could, but I won't.
But yeah, that's how I've been practicing rest. Just trying to enjoy
life. Low.
Pardon?
So you ain't low.
Ain't low about what? Ain't low about what?
Since we're friends, I won't say.
I'm not low about what, y'all? Dalanie always gotta take something and spin it around. What I even say? Exactly. Exactamente. Anyway, that's the intermission. Let us know how you're practicing rest. I want to hear any little shows you've been watching.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about Valentine's Day plans.
It's not Valentine's Day anymore.
Right, but it's near. But this comes
out on Monday.
Right, the 17th.
So we are looking forward. Remember our situation? We were looking forward.
Okay. Well, it's forward from where we are right now.
But not forward for them, and we care about the audience. You don't?
I'm sure they care about our lives. Well, I'll tell you guys, for Valentine's Day, making a meal, some dessert, I got some Legos. So, I'm excited.
You say Legos?
Yeah.
Oh.
Legos. I don't know.
I actually don't know what I'm doing for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I don't.
Well, I said okay. So, I believe you. All right. Going into the topic of this episode, We came across this article in the New York Times about a black composer, and we read it and we wanted to talk about some of the things that we took away from it. So, of course, it'll be linked in the description, but I'll just give a little bit of background about what it was about. Basically, it was about a composer by the name of Edmond Dédé, and one of his magnum opus, a huge sprawling opera that he wrote, was discovered nearly 100 years after it was written. So he was born in 1827 as a free person of color in New Orleans, and there are some records of him being a violin virtuoso and, of course, a composer. He also spent some of his career in Mexico and in France. And in France is where he spent like the latter part of his life. He was working there as a musician. He was composing, conducting orchestra pieces, ballets, operettas. And yeah, apparently at one time he was actually pretty famous. They said that one critic called him perhaps the best known man in Bordeaux. So in 1887, he wrote this opera called Margian. Is that how you said that? Margian? I don't know. Let me pull it. If it's, cause it sounds like maybe it's French. But it was a grand opera, 545 pages long, which I'm like, I mean, to be fair, he worked on it over years, but it's like, he was handwriting a 500 something page opera. It's kind of insane. But yeah, so it was discovered nearly, I was about to say a decade, a century later. Just this year, it was performed. Some of it was performed. It was performed in part, and then later in full, a couple times earlier this year. So once in New Orleans, that was the in part one, and then in Washington D.C., College Park, Maryland, and in New York. And I think the New York performance was the one with the used historical instruments. Or period instruments rather. And yeah,
shout out to Dédé.
Yeah. I need this double space because my nose be, and also I'm not that close to it. But no, I think the one in New Orleans, they did two in New Orleans. The first one was abbreviated, and the second one was the one where they used period instruments. But yeah, they also thought that this opera might be the oldest existing opera by a Black American. So when I was reading this, a couple of things stuck out to me. One, they mentioned that apparently in the early 1800s, there was a thriving classical music scene in New Orleans, including, you know, like free black people. It says free people of color. I don't know. It's free black people, but I don't know the makeup of New Orleans at that time, if they just mean free black people or I have no idea. Sometimes they use that interchangeably, but you can just say black. But apparently there was a thriving community of free black people in New Orleans participating and playing classical music. So that was surprising to me. And also what was surprising was all that it took to get his work on stage. Like, I'm gonna give the vague, like, the background and y'all can read it, but like basically, so they found, first of all, some his stuff, they didn't know where it was at. Nobody was even thinking about where his stuff was at. Mm-hmm. Somebody had a collection of a bunch of scores, and somebody looked through that collection and was like, okay, we're gonna buy this for the music library at Harvard. They bought it. A couple years later, they finally got it over to Harvard. Their librarian was looking at it and was like, this might could be something. So then she was looking at it, and then and then she looked him up and was like, oh, this person seems like, you know, they had a pretty interesting life. Then they connected with somebody who was in New Orleans who had already heard of him, who had their own opera company, and was like, oh, we want to do this opera. But they were like, it's going to cost $50,000 to get this opera engraved. And it was like, yeah, so we can't afford that, but we're going to try. And all that. And then there was another guy in Maryland who during the pandemic started reading into music history and then came across him. And so then he started looking up, and somehow all of these people, they ended up finding each other to make this sort of perfect storm that got this opera finally staged. But I was just like baffled. I'm like, how much stuff are we like missing out on because of this crazy thing?
Yeah. Like, I was on Dalanie that I follow this French account, and it was like they've been doing, I don't know if it's for Black History Month or what. It's not a French account. It's literally Romande, which is like a huge publication in France, news, whatever. And they do these stories about these like black people who like, oh, my name was this and I led this revolution in Mali and da da da. And it's just like, so you made this huge impact on the world around you and everything like that, and we found out because somebody wrote on the back of a CVS receipt, and they found it when they was moving out like 17,000 years later. Like, does everything have to be some like scavenger hunt? Like, everything that black people do is like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, we was talking about this in relation. Another example in classical music is, of course, Florence Price. Like, the fact that this guy was described as a celebrity during his life, and then like after that is just like, well,
that's the thing that doesn't make sense. Like, there was no newspaper, no clippings, no nothing. Like, you didn't give a damn that he died. Like, also remember he only went back to New Orleans one time, and they were doing some type of benefit concert in his honor. So between the two, nobody wrote nothing down. No publications, he's the best man in Bordeaux. Who said that?
Oh, a critic.
France. And who did he write for? And so when he died, it's been like, damn, we haven't seen Dédé for like 7. Well, we haven't seen Dédé for like 10 years. Someone's like, oh yeah, he died. And they were like, okay, so yeah, let me get a crepe on with him. Like, what? Like, you just went with your day?
Well, I think there's probably documentation of him dying, but it's what's gonna happen to his work. Like, nobody's doing nothing with his work after he's gone. Nobody's keeping track. Nobody's even making sure that like we got this labeled and here's his stuff and here's the home for it. Like, so many composers, they have like, oh, their stuff is housed in this library or this museum or this archive, and his stuff was just like, oh, it's in somebody's attic for 100 years. So
his son, I guess that's true. Like, I feel like people's like compose, well, except for Mozart, but like, no, Mozart had mad kids, right? I feel like your kid would be like, no, actually, I want, like, this is my dad's stuff. It's very important. I want to keep on to it. I want to da da da. Like, who was it? Florence Price. Her people were on a tight ship, not tight enough, but her people were on a tight ship with all her archives and stuff. So,
but it seems like this was like in somebody's collection. Like, I think because there was some, like, they found some newspaper clippings of describing him. That's how they found out that he was a virtuoso. There was a quote that said he was a violin virtuoso and that he was a composer of real merit. That's what it said. So it's like there's some documentation of his life, but it's the after the death that is falling off. And there's something that's happening there, because even Florence Price, we was talking about how in 1930 or whatever, they had her stuff on the Chicago Symphony stage, and then all of a sudden in 2009 they found it in somebody's attic in a dilapidated house.
I don't understand how that happens. Like, because was it her old house? We have to go back and look, because I remember that happened like 2019 or something like that.
What they found stuff?
I feel like it happened while we were doing the show.
I think they found it in 2009, but they started playing her stuff a little bit after that.
Because like, was she the owner of that house, and like she moved out and she forgot one box in the attic? Like,
that's what I don't know. But it seems like it always got to be some type of. And even, that's what I was going to say. Even with him, like, having this reputation while he was alive, like they said, they were struggling to find funding to meet that $50,000 to get it engraved and to be able to put on the show, because people are like, oh, it was an unknown composer. And it's like how people go from being known and having some pretty big accomplishments in their life.
Yeah.
To now, so we're not playing your stuff until 100 years later.
And like, maybe there's a memoir or something, because even when we talk about Florence Price, I'm still like, so y'all wasn't playing black people, and then one day y'all randomly decided to play black people, and this one day, one night only, at Orchestre Hall in Chicago, and then y'all never played it. Maybe it's there. I have to.
And it's actually, because we were just talking about this, and I was like, yeah, I don't remember how they got, like, how that came to be, but now it's kind of coming back to me. I feel like I read it somewhere, but I can't remember. I read about this stuff, so I can't remember. It was I can't remember how they did it, but there was somebody who like vouched for her, I think, too. Well, we'll find it, because people, I know there's a couple biographies of hers. I don't remember, and I haven't read any of them, so I must have read it in an article or something. But I do remember like somebody like vouched for her or something like that, or they were doing some type of day that was like highlighting Black composers. But like, who was at the helm of that?
And like why would they be doing that?
At that time,
it was Chicago, but it's still America, like in the 1930s.
But yeah, I wonder, especially for like a classical music institution too, like, cause like I know like
it's pulling teeth now to get y'all to play Black composers.
Yeah, cause it's like I know that there was like, you know, I feel like it seemed like all of the movements that were like focusing on Black art were more self-sufficient. Like Harlem Renaissance was before that, but it's like that was Black people doing Black stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't the New York Phil saying, "Hey, come over and do this."
Right.
You know, so
girl, I don't know.
Everything gotta be like, well, and she tripped over a log, and in that log was a piece of paper, and it had the coordinates, and then we went to the coordinates,
and then there was a star, one lowly star on the ground, and then she looked up, and there was a star up there, and she followed the star, and then there was a talking frog. It's just like everything gotta be like 7,000 steps to like. For one little score that's like half missing and smudged up. Right. Like did you use it as toilet paper before you?
Oh, could you imagine?
Yes.
That's probably what they was doing. Honestly,
the same like, people that was putting human hair into upholster furniture. Yes, I can't believe it. Actually, I can't say that. You think you could write music? I'll show you what your music's good for.
I just meant like, could you imagine you finding that and be like, let's fleck that off, and that's what I mean. Yeah. I told you what they did to.
Nothing.
There's nothing y'all can
like
do.
Heaven is empty.
Like real roomy in there.
It's echo. Like God sitting up there like, oh, I knew it would be
lonely. I missed the lonely.
Like got up there lonely.
But yeah, and also like, yes, I'm wondering in those periods of time where like Black composers, Black artists, whatever, were successful, like what was going on then and what was going on after. Because I think I was reading a thing about publishing, and it was saying how like, because a lot of, white people would be complaining about we're not getting paid attention to all that type of stuff ever since 2020 and before that, but there were some white people that was complaining about publishing. They're like, you can't get a book published unless you're like Black or a person of color, which people did the math and did the data, and it was like, you guys are actually still at this point like, way more likely to get published.
Have you considered that your stuff is not good?
Like way more likely. And they also analyzed like over time publishing trends, and there have been periods where we've had a similar situation that we had in 2020 where it was like an uptick in publishing of Black literature, but it's always like an uptick, and then it falls again, and then a couple years later we decide we like Black people again, and it's an uptick, and then it falls again, because it's never like a steady like, okay, we're just doing this now, and we keep it in line with what would be equitable. But I was reading about that, and it was saying that you can actually really track those upticks to times when Toni Morrison was an acquiring editor in publishing, and she was actively publishing books by Black authors, and then times when she wasn't, it would fall again. Like you can literally like track that with her employment history, and that's why. And so I'm wondering, like, I don't really see them putting like Black people in power, but like I wonder in these situations was that a factor? Like there has to have been somebody with some influence. Maybe they were Black, maybe they weren't, but somebody who valued that, who was like, yeah, so let's put that in place. It just has to be that, because, and then maybe once that person passes away or they move on to another place, then stuff be falling off.
Yeah, gotta be. Jasmine Cocker really woke something up in me, because she was like, I know I'm like, because I be that imposter syndrome stuff, and it's just like Black people shouldn't have imposter syndrome.
You really,
because it's just like, you know, if you are here, like just know you're like, you have to be good.
Except for that one book.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always
imposter. No, I'm just kidding.
Real bad. Oh, that book was real bad. Yeah. That's what they be talking about when they be talking about that. Oh, I don't want to say that. That's crazy, Katie. I have self-control. But when they be talking about, they be talking about him.
Because that was insane.
Like, real bad.
Should have kept that to yourself real bad. Yeah. But yeah. I feel like we were talking about just like, when is it just going to be a regular, like, we kept track of this person and they died and their stuff is well documented, accessible, just normal.
I feel like, because even, I don't even know if digital stuff will help, to be honest. Maybe it will. I mean, I think about like a composer like Jessie Montgomery, like her stuff will be well documented for generations to come. Because like it's been published, it's whatever. But I still think that I was on Dalanie. I just think artists should start keeping more record of stuff and preserve it. And I know like it kind of gets into super simple. There's a very early episode of Classically Black where we talk about legacy, and I'm curious about what I said. I remember we even got a little. It was an argument. It was just like, okay, then what are we gonna record then? When Nipsey Hussle died, because everyone was talking about. Like, so I'm very curious what I said on that episode. I'm gonna go back and listen to it, but. Not everyone cares about legacy in the same way, or they don't care about legacy at all. But I still think like when we see instances of like someone as talented as Florence Price and her work is just gone, and it's just like we're piecing stuff together. The girls, if I tell you how many times I played Adoration, it's just like we just piecing stuff together. And she was a composer, like that was her. That's how she made her bread, and we cannot find everything, or we still discovering stuff. And it's just like just keep more record of what you're doing, whether you're like a performer or like you are a composer or you're a writer, whatever, because like we need to hear from you. Like, 200 years ago somebody might be inspired by the work and life of Mari Ford, and it's like if everything was digital and it's like on a freaking iPhone 9 and it's freaking 4007 and they're on whatever iPhone chip they implant into your forehead. It's like, how do we access his work? And I just think, I think it's really important. Like, I'm not really a journal. I know people journal every day. Issa Rae journals every day. I don't got nothing to say. Also, there's a constant, I don't know if there's a constant monologue in my head, but like I be in tune with my thoughts. So sometimes I'm just like, I got to talk it out. I don't need to get my thoughts out on paper is what I'm trying to say. Like, I'll be in conversation with myself. But, yeah, like I think people should do that more, because there's so many instances of like, it's not just composers. It's like the lady I was talking about. I think it was Molly, where that she was like a midwife, and then something, and there was a revolution, something happened, and and then they sent her to another village, and it was like, I don't know. To be fair to her, it was like the 1800s. Like maybe it wasn't. I don't know, but it's just like there's so many instances of stuff happening with Black people who are doing amazing things for their communities and the world around them, and it's like it just gets lost. And I mean, obviously there's so much to keep up with. Like, can we keep up with every little thing? But it's just like some people might want to read about you. You should keep a journal with your thoughts and your work, written by hand, if you can muster the strength, which that is a thing apparently. Children are now struggling with all the technology. They no longer have the core strength to take written tests anymore. That is a real thing. So basically, I want to restate what I said 20 minutes ago. Like, what's the point of all of this? Because what are we doing? Do you know if you can't go like this? Like, if you can't do that, you can't read? Because the same...
What?
Because the same... Which is why that's why, like, play and recess, because apparently some schools across the country, like, recess is getting shorter. Like, kids, they're treating recess like a special now, whereas like some days you have choir, some days you have art, some days you have recess. Hello?
What?
They're making play shorter and shorter and shorter.
Ridiculous.
And it's like, but play is so important. And like one of the things, like the coordination to like take your right hand and like raise your left knee and then whatever, like it's the same type of coordination it takes to like read and then go to the next line and read. And some of the kids are struggling with that. So I used to complain about PE since the first day of PE in kindergarten until my last day of PE in 12th grade, because Illinois requires Illinois requires, and it's only one of 10 states. That might have changed. I haven't been in grammar school in a while, but Illinois is one of the few states that requires physical education every single year. Yikes. Every single year, every single day, not every day from 1998 until 2011, I had PE every single day. But you know what? I guess in retrospect, I'm thankful for it, because it's like you don't even realize like just not being in the classroom in the traditional way like is very important. The kids aren't playing, they're not reading, they can't write. It is, yeah. So that's good.
Dang, what was we just? Oh, you was talking about
getting them nice and dumb for
right, what we got going on. So they're gonna need to be. So,
but yeah, just keep track of your stuff. People, I just think you should just have a journal or something.
And I think like people also just need to like in general care about stuff like that more, because I think I remember the legacy episode, and I remember what I said. I don't think my feelings have changed about my personal. Like, I don't really care if people remember me or not, but I do care if certain things survive. But actually, I don't care if that they survive. I just care that they're, like, I write by hand a lot. I have a lot of notebooks and everything, and I would only want them to, they're important to me, but I would only want them to survive if they were of use. Otherwise, I would probably want them to be buried with me. So it's not even about them surviving. Mm-hmm. It's just about like there being some significance. Like if I do something that would make having my notebooks interesting to people, then sure, take them. If not, I'd rather take them with me, you know? But I think that people like, but also I guess I'm being a bit of a hypocrite then, because I think that people should care about stuff like that. Like I think you were saying like how not everybody cares about legacy. And I think that as somebody that cares about history, I think it's just bigger than you. Like I feel like maybe it's not about specifically this guy's life and his legacy, but it's more about like what did Black art look like at this time, and you were a part of that, you know? And so I feel like people in general, I feel like should care about that, because even if we take notes and we document our stuff, I feel like the power comes from people still speaking your name and still doing your stuff, because like for like Mozart, for example, was in a common grave just like he was, but the power in Mozart's name comes from the fact that we keep playing his stuff, and now because he's not the only person to have stuff lost, we're still uncovering stuff by like canonical composers, but the difference is as soon as they find that stuff, it's getting played. They didn't even dust that Mozart stuff off. I'm surprised they just found it. They didn't even dust it off and it's already getting played, you know? And so it's also like about, I think people, I feel like there's just like sometimes people don't think it's important unless the name comes first. Like in this example, they couldn't find nobody to stage itself because they didn't know his name. But if it had been Mozart, and even at this point, if it had been William Grant Still, you know, then maybe not as quick as a Mozart, but it will probably be staged pretty soon, because they found this in 1999. It's 2025. They just now rolling around. So
yeah, it's challenging, because I mean I respect people who don't care about legacy. So when you die, you die. Like and like is it self-serving to like want your work to live on forever? Like who? I was listening to Wild Card, and somebody was like, I'm freaking dead. Like I don't care if you talk about me. So she was like, what you finna, they talking about, what your bones gonna be tingling? Like I don't know. Yeah, I don't think about it in that way. Like I don't think about like talking. I feel like if I do something significant and it can help someone else, then I would like to be talked about. Not like, oh, let's talk about Katie again. Don't forget I existed. It's just like everybody gonna forget that. There's some people that is such important things that some people don't know their names. Yeah, if it's helpful to someone, like I would care for it to be, but not in a self-serving way, because I can't be self-serving because I'm dead. So that's why I'm curious to see what I said, because I care about legacy to a certain degree. I'm just curious. I'm sure like how I care about it has changed. That's why I want to hear my thoughts on that. I think legacy is important. I think, but not like in weird internet not in like the weird internet man like my namesake and not that type of way.
If I care about legacy, I'd be having kids because my mom's side about to trickle out. Like, got much hope.
I mean, to be fair, my mom's not even also going to trickle out because she only has one kid and it's a girl.
No, I mean my mom's side of the family.
Oh.
Yeah, not joking. You'll be fine.
My mom's side of the family. Oh, because she has brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sister. Like, you have cousins. I have one cousin on my mom's side.
Oh, shoot.
Who doesn't want kids, and neither do I. And so we'll hope that my nephew, he's only hope for even the bloodline. Like, not even the name, because he don't have the name.
Oh, shoot.
Kid. The name, whatever. I mean, I don't have my mom. I have my dad's side of the name, and they're fine. Plenty of people over there. I have like 19 cousins on my dad's side, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I care about, like, also I don't think it's my children's responsibility to carry out my legacy because I think children are separate from.
But some people just think of the existence of having kids. They think of that. I gotta spread my.
Like, Grandma Viola's, like, I don't have no bloodline. Like, I don't know. If my work is helpful to people, like, imagine if Lisa Ray didn't care about legacy. Like, that would, I think that would be tragic. Or Spike Lee didn't care about legacy. But yeah, anything else?
Well, I also think also in those situations too, like, I feel like it gets kind of murky too, because those people, they have things that are owned by like large entities, which are always gonna keep stuff, but what they do with it depends. Like, I was just talking about how I think last year they wiped all of the MTV News archives off the internet. They still have them. They're probably sitting somewhere in the Paramount office, all that stuff. They can look it up, but it's no longer accessible to the public. All those writers that have all the writing, of their life, they just can't access anymore. So it's like, even if you talk about people in entertainment, like Issa, like that, like all that stuff is going to live on forever simply because it's the intellectual property of HBO, of whatever. But since those people don't value that, if it's not gonna make them money, they're gonna keep it in the vault. Yeah. It's like they just made that Pharrell movie, millions and millions of dollars. They were like, yeah, we're never gonna release it. Oh, because it didn't. Yeah, movie's done. Star-studded cast. Halle Bailey's in there. Who else is in there? Pretty famous people. I remember they said it was star-studded cast. That's the only person who I distinctly remember who was in that movie. But yeah, they were like, it didn't turn out how we were expecting, so we're never gonna release it, even though it's completely done. Good. So I'm like, and which is interesting. Maybe somebody who's familiar with that can explain, but it's like the money's already spent. I guess you will spend more money distributing it. I guess. Depending, but you can just put it on streaming.
So you don't want to try to make a little bit of that money back?
Like,
not even a smidge. You don't want to make a smidgen. You spend freaking $50 million on a movie. You don't want to try to make at least half back.
I do think that maybe they can write it off. I think though, if they don't, there's some type of Hollywood accounting there. There's some there has to be a reason behind it. I'm not familiar with it, but I think I've heard of people doing that before. They just make something and they're like, yeah, actually that Prince documentary, that's not coming out because he's a state, which but yeah,
cool. Let us know your thoughts and we're moving on.
Are you not gonna
what
your other question about the
Oh, right. Because I already kind of touched on this. There is none. I was kidding. I'm kidding. So I missed my last bullet point, which is the future of Black art. I'm having a weird day today. I didn't realize until I just turned the mics on. Because of the current, I'm not trying to be like, I've really tried to disengage. That's what, like, literally, like, I just found out about this whole Trump, what's it called? Kennedy Center thing, just now, because
we talked about it like 2 days ago.
Well, I found the first iteration when he just tweeted or truthed about it. Like,
that happened an hour and a half ago.
Oh, that's
okay.
Why. Like, I just don't get Trump news. I've been like marking like uninterested or whatever, because like, just let me know when you finna round me up. Like, because it's just like, it's every day is a news day. It's ridiculous. Like, it's just way too much for me. But one thing, like, I remember I said that girl who was like, y'all need to learn how to read a map. But I'm like,
oh, girl.
Unless Carvana comes takes my car, like, why am I hiking through the streets of LA back to where exactly with my map? Like, what? But it kind of does make you wonder, like, what's the future of Black art looking like in administration like this, where we're seeing like if this same thing were to happen, like they found this score or whatever, like 3 years from now, where are you gonna get the funding from to you know, get it engraved, to have it performed? Like, if he started with the Kennedy Center, you know, the Met, there's like a bunch of places where he can go. Like, he might not go to a regional orchestra, but like there's plenty of places that he can go to sit on to be president of the board. So it's like, I'm curious about what does the future look like for, because we went through a renaissance, and I feel like we're gonna where that period is over until it happens again. Like, there was a 90s one, then it dropped off, because there was literally like 12 to 20 or more Black sitcoms on air late 80s and 90s, and there was nothing except for Blackish. Then there was a resurgence, and like, obviously TV doesn't dictate everything, but it just kind of just goes to show around Insecure and all that type of stuff. That's when we had like all these Black composers being played. I mean, there's other factors that played into it, like the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that, but I feel like we're entering another dry period where there will be nothing.
Mm-hmm. I think his reach for other arts institutions, I think he would have to go about it in a different way. I think the Kennedy Center, because it is so closely linked, it's not funding wise, because we talked about that, to the government, but it is, you know. I think that's why it was a target for him, and it will be easier, as opposed to another arts institution. But a lot of arts institutions get federal funding, and so a lot of people will feel, you know, more inclined to fall in line with stuff, even if it's not on paper, even if, you know, like, I mean, it will have to be on paper, because I think he's dictated he's already tried to, like, you know, talk about certain guidelines he wants to put in place for federal funding and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like in terms of, I don't know, I feel like it'll be interesting, because I feel like we're also in a time where the entry point to making art in some cases is a bit lower. You know, because like, a lot of things you can do on your phone, or and a lot of times the middleman is cut out, but it's that big budget stuff, like how you put on plays, how you making movies. It's like, you can't do stuff like that, but like to a certain extent.
Like, if you wanted to do a play, like, you know, whatever, and you crowdfunded for your play, or like you crowdfunded for, you know, a web series. Yeah. But like, when's the next time we gonna get one of them days? And also, shout out to Issa and Sarita, but like, they only gave them like $10 million, which is like not a lot of money. Yeah, for a movie, not a lot of. Especially like, you talking about SZA and Keke Palmer on the call sheet, like, that is not a lot of money to make a movie, and they shot it in 20 days. So it's like, when's the next time we gonna get one of them? Because I feel like, obviously, like, it's so easy in this time to like, everything's a thing and everything is like connected, but it's just like, so many shows are getting canceled for like no reason. Like, How to Die Alone was fantastic. Like, not even just me saying it, like, it was like literally fantastic. Like, it has a huge name behind it, like Natasha Rothwell. Like come on, like, has proven herself in the industry, all these things, and her show gets canceled, and Bel Air got canceled, and there's a bunch of shows that got canceled. I mean, we still have Abbott, we still have, you know what I'm saying, but it's just like, what's going on? You know, I feel another dry spell coming in a lot of ways. Yeah, especially they silently get rid of them fellowships. Now, I ain't gonna say too much, because someone told me a little something about one of them, so I ain't gonna say that. But I will say publicly, because I figured this out. A birdie did tell me about CCM. But if you go on Cincinnati's website and you click on Orchestra Fellowship, Or you click on fellowships, the orchestra fellowship is not there. And when you click on apply to the orchestra, like you can go on the orchestra fellowship page. Sorry, that was confusing. So if you go on the CCM website, their conservatory website, there's a section that says fellowships. The fellowship is not listed there, the orchestra fellowship. Additionally, they have an orchestra fellowship page that's separate, and you click apply now to the fellowship, it will direct you basically nowhere. So that one's already done. The Memphis Symphony one is separate from the University of Memphis now. And the one that I won't say because someone told me that in confidence, you'll find out about it. So the one that I would really be like, damn, this is all coming crashing. It's like the Detroit Symphony one. That would be tragic because that's like that's like the first one. It's for Black people, period. Like it's been around since '98. Yeah, like that would be tragic. And you know that there's a certain institution that has some changes in their language recently.
Oh,
so, yeah. I ain't gonna say. I mean, it's public knowledge, but I'm not gonna bring attention to it just in case. It's public knowledge. You can go on their website.
Yeah, it's there.
So,
but it's also
they was already
like,
kind of given that anyway. So,
I mean, yeah. I mean, to be fair to them, it's probably because like people just don't want to be at the center or something like that. It's a huge, situation. So to be at the center of if somebody sets their sights on you, what happened to Fearless Fund? Like people got a lot at stake. So to be able to continue to operate, change some language around. Try to fly under the radar. I don't know how they finna do that.
Exactly. An organization that big.
Like, so let's just hope. Like, I don't know. Because a lot of people depend on that. A lot of people been helped by that. But yeah, like in a lot of people. Yeah, we're going to see. I think what it's going to come down to, I mean, we can only band together so much. Like, there's only so much money floating around in the community. Yeah. I think but a lot of people are, I think there's going to be, the art's going to be out there, but that whole getting that institutional support, I think is where the dry spell is going to be.
Because I mean, black artists are going to keep making art.
Yeah. But it's that institutional support. We'll see what these orchestras going to be talking about.
Nothing. These orchestras don't be talking about nothing. What they talking about? They talk about nothing. Like nothing. They will continue to talk about nothing. Especially like if they got Trump coming after them. Y'all taking federal funding to play this black music. The golden age of American music. What does that mean? Jim Crow? What does that even mean? What does a golden age of America mean? There has never been a golden age of America when it was untouched. In the 1500s.
I'm curious. I don't know. I'm curious how much a lot of these orchestras, how much federal funding they get. I have no idea. And which ones do, which ones don't, and how much. Because the Kennedy Center thing, I feel like he's going after the most straightforward Kennedy Center.
It's down the street.
The last one, and it's touted as an institution for like for American culture and stuff like that. Like it's in some way connected to the federal government in a way that other institutions are not. But people are, wondering about. And then there was the other one. I forget. We talked about a couple weeks ago. I forget what was the other one that he was trying to take money from, he fired that advisory thing, that advisory committee of people for the arts or whatever. It was the president. Yeah. So he did that. So we started there, but
I felt less bad about that because apparently, like he did that before, and that's why I'm trying to manage my what are we panicking about. And then Biden just reinstated it like in 2021. So it's like...
Because before he was president, they all resigned. That's why it was. And then Biden reinstated it, and then now he just fired everybody.
Oh, because it was a lick back.
Yeah.
I was gonna hold my tongue about him.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Well, yeah, we'll see how far he gets into that. Because I mean, the whole censorship thing. We'll see what's coming down the pipe.
It is a perilous time. Is this the times God was talking about in the Bible? Because I feel like we've always been living in the end of days, but these feel real endy. Like,
not indie.
I don't want to panic because I still got to go to work tomorrow. So, I still got to teach on Friday. I still owe the government money. I tried paying them, they didn't take the money. So I got to log back into the IRS, try paying them again. Like, I've been through enough. What's some drugs was talking about? Which one she talking about?
You said what?
Nothing. Ready for the black?
What would you say?
Nothing. Nothing.
I didn't even hear what you said. What'd you say?
And also you edited it, so you'll hear it then. Moving on. All right, y'all. It's time for Black X, where we hype you up, gas you up, and give you your props because there's room for everyone at the top. Who are you talking about, Dalanie?
This week I'm talking about Karen Slack because she just won a Grammy. So why not? Yeah, Karen Slack is obviously a very well-known soprano Grammy winner. Also a recipient of the 2022 Sphinx Medal of Excellence. She's a sought-after collaborator, curator, and artistic advisor around. And she got this, and you see, everybody take note because she got this website updated. She already got that Grammy on there.
I know that's right.
Already got it on here. 2025 Grammy Award for Best Classical Solo Vocal Album. Like, period. I'll also just talk a little bit about that project because it's obviously one of her crowning achievements. She released it last year, July 2024. Again, called Beyond the Years: The Unreleased Songs of Florence Price, along with Michelle Can, and it comprises unpublished songs from Florence Price that are highlighting her themes of faith, nature, love, and loss. And yeah, it says a long overdue published edition of Price's music, which was literally, the episode today. She's also made her solo debut with the New York Philharmonic. She's been a guest with Chamber Music Detroit, the Pacifica Quartet. She's performed at Carnegie Hall, Chamber Music I just said that, Chamber Music Detroit, Shriver Concert Series, Dallas Symphony Orchestra, Dallas Opera, Nashville Symphony, Kimmel Center, Houston Grand Opera, National Sawdust, Washington Chorus, everywhere. So I will link her website so y'all can learn more about her if you don't already know about her.
Period. Let's see. My piece of the week is Daughter by Beyoncé because Beyoncé. But if you want a second reason, it contains Carl Milben. So go be inspired by an artist. Thank you so much for listening to Classically Black Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Classically Black Podcast. If you have a piece of the week suggestion and all that other stuff, I'm so used to saying that, but really what you should do is follow us at the Ebony Tower while it's still there. That's patreon.com/Classically Black Podcast. Follow us on social media. We be having a time. Thank you for listening, and we will catch y'all next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.